Take a deep, slow breath in and let it go, allowing your shoulders to drop and your mind to settle into a space of quiet reception. There is nowhere else you need to be right now, nothing else you need to solve. The day is done, and the world has slowed its turning, inviting you to rest in the stillness of the present moment. We are going to drift back in time tonight, to a place of warmth and golden light, to a story that unfolds like a mirage in the desert heat. Let your imagination float gently toward the west coast, specifically to the sprawling, sun-drenched valleys of Southern California in the 1980s. Picture the San Fernando Valley, a vast grid of suburban dreams, where the streets are wide and lined with palm trees that sway lazily in the warm breeze. The air here carries the scent of jasmine and hot asphalt, a distinct perfume of summer that seems to last all year round. It is a time of optimism, a decade painted in neon and pastel, where the horizon feels limitless and the sky is a perfect, unblemished blue. In this setting, amidst the rows of single-story ranch houses and manicured green lawns, we find the beginning of our tale. It starts not in a boardroom of glass and steel, but in the humble, shadowed quiet of a family garage. It is here that we meet a young man named Barry, a teenager with a vision that stretches far beyond the concrete driveway of his parents' home. He is 16 years old, an age where the boundary between reality and daydream is often soft and permeable. Imagine the atmosphere of that garage, the cool shade offering a respite from the midday sun. There is the smell of motor oil, of cardboard boxes, and the faint, clean scent of industrial soap. This is the birthplace of a company called ZZZ Best. The name itself, with its row of Z's, suggests the very sleep that you are drifting toward now, a nod to being the last entry in the phone book, or perhaps the best. It was a simple enterprise, built on the promise of cleanliness, of restoration, of making things new again. Carpet cleaning is a rhythmic, almost hypnotic process. Visualize the machinery, the heavy industrial units that hum with a steady, low-frequency vibration, a white noise that drowns out the chatter of the outside world. There is the hiss of steam, the rush of water, the way the metal wand glides back and forth over the fibres of a rug. Back and forth, erasing the dust of the past, leaving behind perfectly straight, damp lines of cleanliness. It is satisfying work, the kind of work where progress is visible, inch by inch, room by room. Barry, young and full of an energy that we will simply observe from a distance, threw himself into this world. In the early mornings, before the sun had fully crested the Santa Susana Mountains, the trucks would roll out. Picture the white vans, gleaming under the streetlights, moving quietly through the slumbering neighbourhoods. They were merchants of renewal, arriving at homes to wash away the stains of daily life. There is something compelling about the idea of a fresh start, of a surface made pristine again. It is a universal desire to smooth out the rough edges, to present a face to the world that is flawless and bright. As the months turned into years, the garage became too small to hold the dream, The business began to expand, growing like a vine reaching for the sun. The single van became a fleet. The garage became an office, then a larger office, a place with plush carpets of its own and desks made of heavy, polished oak. The company, ZZZ Best, was becoming a sensation, a golden child of the valley. The story of this growth is one of perception. In the 1980s, image was everything. It was the era of the power suit, of the firm handshake, of the belief that if you looked the part, you were the part. And ZZZ Best looked magnificent. The employees wore crisp uniforms. The trucks were always washed. The logo was bold and confident. It was a theatre of industry, a beautifully choreographed dance of commerce. Barry was the conductor of this orchestra. He possessed a voice that could charm and reassure, a charisma that drew people in like moths to a porch light. He spoke of expansion, of dominating the market, of a company that would become a household name across America. Listeners were mesmerized by the cadence of his ambition, the way he painted a picture of the future that seemed so tangible. You felt you could reach out and touch it. But the core of this expansion, the engine that truly drove the company's valuation skyward, was a venture into insurance restoration. This was the story told to bankers and investors, a tale of fixing homes damaged by water and fire. Imagine the concept: vast commercial buildings needing to be dried out and rebuilt after a flood. The hum of thousands of industrial fans, the scent of new drywall, the scale of contracts worth millions of dollars. In the quiet of our story tonight, we can see these restoration projects as they existed in the minds of the investors, as magnificent phantom structures. They were elaborate constructs of the imagination, detailed on paper, verified by forged documents, but existing primarily in the realm of ideas. It was a majestic illusion, a castle made of clouds. The money began to flow, a river of capital moving from the marble lobbies of banks into the accounts of ZZZZ Best. It moved silently, electronically, numbers shifting on green computer screens, growing larger and larger. To the outside world, it was a miracle of American entrepreneurship. A teenage boy, barely out of high school, building a multi-million-dollar empire from nothing. It was the perfect story, the kind of story people wanted to believe, because it validated the dream that anything is possible. Let us pause to appreciate the texture of this illusion. It was woven with incredible detail. There were offices staged to look busy, phones ringing, people typing furiously on keyboards, all to create an atmosphere of frenetic success for anyone who visited. It was a set, like a movie set in Hollywood just over the hills, designed to capture the eye and suspend disbelief. The walls were painted, the furniture was rented, the actors knew their lines, and the world applauded. The company went public, a significant milestone where a private dream becomes a shared reality. Visualize the stock market ticker, the paper tape flowing like a ribbon, the symbol for ZZZZ Best scrolling by, the numbers ticking upward, higher and higher. The valuation soared into the hundreds of millions. It was a bubble of pure light, shimmering with iridescent colors, floating effortlessly above the hard ground of reality. The heat of the California sun seemed to shine exclusively on Barry and his creation. There were interviews on television, newspaper articles, awards. The boy from the garage was now a tycoon, driven in limousines, wearing Italian suits, the master of his domain. The stress of maintaining the facade, the frantic energy required to keep the balloon inflated, we will let that fade into the background. From our vantage point of relaxation, we see only the smooth, glossy surface of the bubble, reflecting the blue sky and the palm trees. It is a hypnotic image, this rising star. It speaks to the power of belief. If enough people believe in a story, does it become real? For a time, in the haze of the 1980s, ZZZZ Best was as real as the ground beneath your feet. It employed people. It spent money. It occupied space. The fact that its core was hollow, a vacuum of empty space, only made it lighter, allowed it to rise faster. We often think of stories as things we read, but sometimes life itself is a story being written in real time. We build our own narratives, constructing the world we wish to see, filtering out the noise until only the melody remains. As we drift deeper into this tale, imagine the sun beginning to set over the San Fernando Valley. The bright, harsh light of noon softens into a golden hour, casting long purple shadows across the boulevards. The heat radiates off the pavement, a gentle warmth now, comforting and wrapping around the city like a blanket. The neon signs begin to flicker on, buzzing with that electric hum, pinks and blues and greens illuminating the twilight. The ZZZZ Best trucks return to their depot, the engines cooling, the metal ticking as it contracts. The offices quiet down, the phones stop ringing. The stage is dark for the night. But the dream, the immense, heavy, golden dream of the company, hangs in the air, suspended by the collective belief of thousands of people. It is a heavy weight to carry. But for now, in the stillness of the evening, it floats. You can feel the calmness of the era, the analog simplicity of it. No smartphones, no instant notifications, just the slow turning of the newspaper page, the sound of a radio playing softly in the distance. The world moved a little slower then, allowing time for illusions to take root, to grow strong and tall before the wind could knock them down. Barry sits in his office, looking out over the lights of the valley. He is the architect of this kingdom. We can imagine him there, a silhouette against the window, contemplating the sheer magnitude of what he has built. The carpet cleaning boy, the restoration king. It is all quiet now. The ledger books are closed, the secrets are tucked away in filing cabinets, sleeping in the dark. We are resting here, at the height of the arc. The roller coaster has climbed to its highest peak, and for a moment, it hangs there, perfectly still, suspended between the climb and the inevitable descent. There is no fear here, only a sense of awe at the height, at the view, at the expansive, silent distance between the dream and the ground. Drift in this space, this suspended moment of the 1980s, where the carpets are clean, the stock is high, and the future looks like an endless summer. The air is cool, the night is vast, and the story is just beginning to turn the page, gradually, slowly, moving toward the unraveling that must eventually come, but not yet. Not yet. For now, there is only the quiet hum of the valley and the zzz of sleep. The morning sun rises over the San Fernando Valley, casting long golden shadows across the pavement, warming the stucco walls of the strip malls and the quiet suburban streets. The night has retreated, pulling back its veil to reveal the day, and with the light comes the resumption of the dream. In the offices of ZZZZ Best, the air is conditioned and cool, a sharp contrast to the dry California heat building outside. There is a hum here, a rhythmic, steady vibration of activity. Phones are ringing with a soft electronic trill, typewriters are clacking, photocopiers are flashing their rhythmic light, printing page after page of numbers, of promises, of a reality that exists only on paper. It is a time of immense optimism. We are drifting through the mid-1980s, a decade that fell in love with the idea of success. And at the centre of this swirling energy stands the young CEO, barely out of his teenage years, moving through the corridors of his empire with the ease of someone who believes the ground will always rise to meet his feet. The company has gone public, a moment of alchemy where ambition is transmuted into gold. Visualize the stock ticker, a stream of numbers flowing across a screen, glowing green against the black void. Zzz, the symbol of sleep, now the symbol of a rising fortune. The stock price climbs, slowly at first, then with the steady, hypnotic ascent of a balloon released into a cloudless sky. $13, $18, $50. The valuation swells into the hundreds of millions. It is a mesmerizing dance of digits, a collective belief shared by investors, bankers, and the public. They look at the young man and they see the future. They see the hard work, the commercials, the clean carpets. But beneath the surface, in the quiet, hidden chambers of the ledger, there is a different story being written. It is fascinating to consider the architecture of an illusion, how it requires as much care and craftsmanship as the truth, perhaps even more. To sustain the valuation, to keep the balloon rising, the company needs to show growth. It needs to show vast, profitable projects. And so, the insurance restoration business is born. This is the heart of the mystery, the silent engine of the fraud. On paper, ZZBest is not just cleaning carpets in living rooms. It is restoring massive commercial buildings damaged by water and fire. But these buildings, these grand projects in Sacramento and San Diego, are phantoms. They are castles made of air. Let us drift to one of these sites, in the mind's eye. Imagine a large, empty warehouse, an industrial shell sitting quiet and abandoned. The dust motes dance in shafts of sunlight that pierce through high windows. It is silent here. There is no water damage, there is no fire. There is only the stillness of an empty room. But then, the stage is set. Before the auditors arrive, before the men in suits come to verify the work, the scene must be created. It is like a theatre production, a set designed for a single performance. We can see the flurry of activity, not of restoration, but of fabrication. Workers arrive to wet the carpets down, creating the damp, heavy scent of soaked wool. Generators are brought in, their low mechanical thrum filling the space, powering large industrial fans that blow air across the nothingness. It is a symphony of noise and motion designed to simulate progress. The auditors walk through, guided by the charismatic young leader. They see the water, they hear the fans, they smell the dampness. They nod their heads, they check their clipboards. The sensory experience is convincing. The illusion is solid enough to touch. And then, as quickly as they arrived, the audience leaves. The generators are silenced, the fans are unplugged. The warehouse returns to its slumber, quiet and empty once more. The millions of dollars in revenue generated by this visit, they exist now only in the filing cabinets, in the ink of the contracts, in the belief of the market. The complexity of the paperwork is a marvel in itself. Thousands of documents, forged invoices, fake appraisal services. There is a company called Interstate Appraisal Services, a name that sounds sturdy, reliable, bureaucratic. It sounds like a pillar of the industry. In reality, it is a single room, a mailbox, a telephone answering service. It is a shell, a facade. But on paper, it is the verifier of millions. The paper trail loops back on itself, a snake eating its tail, a perfect closed circle of fabrication. One document verifies another, which references a third, which leads back to the first. It is a fortress built of playing cards, intricately balanced, beautiful in its fragility. The money flows in, real money, chased by the promise of the fake projects. The lifestyle of the young architect expands to fill the space of his success. We see the Ferrari, sleek and red, gliding down Ventura Boulevard. We see the mansion in the gated community, the swimming pool shimmering turquoise under the moon. These are the totems of the dream, the tangible rewards for the intangible work. The young man is celebrated. He is on television, on talk shows, the golden boy of the entrepreneurial spirit. He speaks with passion, with a fervour that borders on the religious. And why shouldn't he? He has converted the world to his version of reality. But in every dream, there is the subtle awareness of the waking world waiting at the edges. The tension is not sharp. It is a low background hum, like the sound of distant traffic. It is the physics of the universe asserting itself. Gravity waits patiently. The unraveling does not begin with a loud crash, but with a whisper. It begins with something small, something almost trivial in the grand scope of the millions of dollars flowing through the accounts. It begins with a credit card charge. Drift with me now, away from the high-rise offices, away from the staged warehouses, to a small flower shop. It is a quiet, mundane place, filled with the scent of lilies and roses. A woman, a homemaker who had been overcharged a modest amount by the carpet cleaning company years prior, has never forgotten. She is persistent. She is the pebble in the shoe of the giant. She tracks the charges. She asks questions. She reaches out to a reporter. It is a slow confluence of events, drifting together like leaves in a stream. The reporter, curious and diligent, begins to look closer. He does not see the glamour. He does not see the stock price. He looks at the foundation. He drives to the addresses listed on the forms. He visits the interstate appraisal services. He expects an office tower, a bustling headquarters. Instead, he finds the mailbox. He finds the silence. It is strange how the grandest illusions can be dissolved by the simplest truths. A mailbox, a phone number that doesn't ring, a building that isn't there. The reporter's questions are soft at first, polite inquiries, but they are the first gentle tugs on the loose thread of a tapestry. The young CEO feels the vibration of this tug. The air in the office changes, imperceptibly. The cool, conditioned air feels a little thinner. The laughter in the boardroom is a little louder, a little more forced. The eyes dart, just for a fraction of a second, toward the window, toward the horizon where the storm clouds are gathering. Yet, the momentum carries them forward. The sheer weight of the lie keeps it moving. The stock is still high. The believers still believe. The roller coaster is no longer climbing. It is coasting now, riding the flat track at the very top of the structure. The view is still magnificent. The valley lights still twinkle below like a sea of diamonds. But the engine has stopped. The upward force has ceased. There is a strange tranquility in this phase. The fraud has become a living thing, breathing on its own, consuming more and more to stay alive. New loans are taken to pay off old investors. New fake jobs are created to cover the gaps of the previous ones. It is a treadmill that must run faster and faster just to stay in the same place. The young man runs, smiling, waving, sweating under the collar of his expensive suit, running toward a horizon that keeps receding. The days turn into weeks. The reporter types his story. The keys of his typewriter strike the paper. Click, click, click. Each strike a tiny hammer chipping away at the glass walls of the palace. The story is not yet published. It sits in a draft, waiting. The secret is held in the suspended animation of the newsroom, just as the company hangs in the suspended animation of the market. We rest here, in this interim space. The flowers in the shop are blooming. The pool water is still. The red Ferrari is parked in the driveway, the engine cooling, ticking softly in the night air. The documents are filed away in the metal cabinets, silent witnesses to a fortune that never was. Everything is in its place. The facade is perfect. It is a masterpiece of smoke and mirrors, reflecting the desires of a decade back at itself. The sun begins to set on this chapter, the golden light fading into the purple hues of twilight. The shadows lengthen again, stretching out across the valley floor. The zzz of the neon sign buzzes, a steady electrical drone. Sleep, it promises. But it is a restless sleep now, a sleep filled with the knowledge that morning is coming, and with it, the inevitable light of truth. We drift in the comfort of the pause, knowing the descent is ahead, but for now, we simply float, weightless, in the heart of the illusion. And from that suspension, gravity begins to gently reclaim its hold. The weightlessness was a temporary grace, a pause in the laws of nature. But now, the morning arrives. It does not arrive with a crash or a shout, but with the soft thud of a newspaper hitting a driveway in the grey light of dawn. The Los Angeles Times, rolled tight, landing on the concrete. Ink on paper, black letters on a white page. The story is told. The secret is whispered to the world. And just like that, the spell is broken. The suspended animation dissolves, not into chaos, but into a slow, steady exhalation. The air begins to leave the balloon. Imagine the stock ticker, that relentless heartbeat of the market. The numbers that had climbed so high, defying the pull of the earth, now simply stop climbing. They hesitate. And then, like a leaf detaching from a branch in autumn, they begin to drift down. Down, down, through the atmosphere of speculation, returning to the solid ground of reality. The millions of dollars, the valuation that rivaled empires, evaporates like mist under the morning sun. It was never solid. It was always just light and air, and now it returns to being just that. There is a strange peace in the unraveling. The frantic energy required to keep the illusion alive, the constant motion, the juggling of accounts, the desperate phone calls, it all ceases. The engine is cut. The momentum fades. The friction of the truth brings the great machine to a halt. Think of those office spaces we visited, the ones staged to look busy, the ones filled with actors and ringing phones. Now, silence reclaims them. The actors have gone home. The phones are unplugged, the cords coiled neatly on the desks. The dust covers are pulled over the typewriters. The sunlight streams through the blinds, illuminating only dancing dust motes in the quiet air. The stage set is dark. The performance is over. There is a profound relief in the end of a performance, when the mask can finally be taken off, when the script is set down, and one can simply be human again. The warehouse in the San Fernando Valley, the cathedral of the restoration business, stands vast and empty. The echoes of footsteps fade away. The smell of industrial cleaner and damp carpet lingers for a moment, and then that too drifts away, carried off by the dry Santa Ana winds blowing through the valley, the winds that sweep everything clean, scrubbing the slate, preparing the ground for whatever comes next. And what of the boy wonder, the architect of this great mirage? The frantic climbing is over for him as well. The red Ferrari, the symbol of a speed that could not be sustained, is parked for the last time. The keys are surrendered. The gates of the mansion close. The legal proceedings move like a slow, heavy tide, inevitable and rhythmic. But from where we watch, from this distance, it is just the closing of a book. The gavel falls, not with a bang, but with the finality of a period at the end of a long sentence. Barry Minkow, the name that lit up the neon signs, fades from the headlines. The heavy doors of the prison slide shut, and with them, the noise of the world is locked out. For him, perhaps, it is the first time in years that the spinning has stopped. The first time he is not running, not chasing, not building a tower of cards in the wind. He is forced to sit, to be still, to let the silence catch up with him. The ambition that burned so hot, white and blinding, cools down to grey ash. The ZZZZ best sign, that jagged bolt of lightning, is taken down. The neon tubes are dark. The buzzing stops. The space on the strip mall facade is painted over, a fresh coat of beige covering the history, blending it back into the anonymity of the city. It is as if it never happened. The city of Los Angeles, vast and sprawling, swallows the story whole. The traffic on the 405 freeway continues its river of red and white lights, flowing north and south, indifferent to the rise and fall of fortunes. The palm trees sway in the twilight, their fronds rustling like dry paper. The ocean waves roll in at Santa Monica, crashing and receding, washing the sand clean, erasing the footprints of yesterday. We are left with the aftermath, which is simply quiet. The quiet of a room after the television is turned off. The quiet of a house after the guests have left. The illusion is gone, and only the truth remains. And the truth is simple. The truth is calm. We often fear the collapse. We fear the end of the dream. But there is safety in the ground. You cannot fall when you are already resting on the earth. So we let the story of ZZZZ best drift away now. It becomes a fable, a cautionary whisper in the archives of history. It floats away from us, shrinking into the distance, until it is just a speck, and then nothing. We are no longer in the 1980s. We are no longer in the heat of the valley. We are here, in this moment, in the safety of the present. The screen is dark. The accounts are closed. The only currency that matters now is your breath, in and out. The steady rise and fall of your own chest, a rhythm far more reliable than any market. Feel the weight of your body pressing down into the mattress. There is no facade here, no smoke, no mirrors. Just the comfort of blankets, the support of the pillow, the cool touch of the air. You do not need to prove anything. You do not need to build anything. You do not need to convince anyone of your worth. You simply need to be. The restoration is complete. Not the restoration of carpets or buildings, but the restoration of your own peace. The day has been washed away. The debris of worry, the dust of activity, it has all been cleaned by the gentle cycle of the night. Imagine a large, empty room within your mind. It is spacious and cool. The walls are white and clean. There is nothing in this room to clutter your thoughts. It is a space of pure potential and pure rest. You are sitting in the center of this room, perfectly at ease. The silence here is rich and heavy, wrapping around you like a velvet cloak. Outside, the world continues its turning, but here, everything is still. The sun has set on the era of noise. The stars have come out, sharp and clear diamonds pinned against the velvet black. They look down with ancient, unblinking eyes, witnessing your rest. Let go of the need for stories now. Let go of the narrative. The words are slowing down, spacing out, leaving more room for the quiet between them. The zzz is no longer a logo, no longer a brand. It is just the sound of deep, restorative sleep. Zzz, the sound of the breath, soft and rhythmic. Zzz, the feeling of heavy eyelids closing out the light. Everything is resolved. The books are balanced. The debt of energy you spent today is being repaid by the rest you are claiming now. You are drifting, floating, not in an illusion, but on the gentle current of sleep, downstream, towards the dark, calm ocean of dreams. The water is warm. The current is slow. You are held. You are safe. The story is over. The night has won. Sleep now, in the honest dark. Sleep. Sleep.